Hello. Hello, I'm Gemma Star, and welcome to another episode of Man Speak. Man Speak is a series that is the offshoot to our Heart Warrior series, where some of our Heart Warriors come back to do a whole episode on a subject particularly close to their heart, a subject they are embodied in and able to express and teach well. Today's guest is our number 2 Heart Warrior, Blase Grinner. Blase is a men's coach here on the Sunshine Coast in Australia, so that's where I am too. For those who don't know, we're about an hour and a half north of Brisbane on the east coast of Australia, in the state of Queensland. So Blase, he's a men's coach here. He runs lots of men's retreats. He's very active in the local community. And the great thing about Blase is he is a father of 3 very young children. So, he has found a way to get this all together and balance, integrate family with his mission, his purpose. So Blase is here today, and his topic is, how do you find your purpose? And I know that's a subject really close to men's hearts, because I think it's all got a lot to do with freedom. But let's hear from Blase and find out what he's got to say. Enjoy. Blase Grinner, our number 2 Heart Warrior. So cool to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Excited for this one.
Yeah, and as I said on my intro, we're actually both on the sunny coast. So we've never met, but, we're only probably, 20 minutes away. Blase, you're going to talk about something that's so important to men.
It's so relevant in these times. There's so many men just feel lost. And I think it all comes back down to this sense of purpose. This is a juicy topic, I feel, for everyone.
Yeah, where would you like to start?
Maybe I start when I felt like I didn't have purpose. Yeah. And so as a man, I'm 38 now. Had a spiritual awakening when I was 27. I was still a tradie in the construction industry, but I felt like I was incomplete. I didn't feel complete as a man. I was deeply insecure, which meant that I was very jealous in my relationships. I was very controlling. I was in the matrix. I was in that Groundhog Day loop of just getting up, going to work, coming home, getting pissed on the weekend, and I was literally living day to day, week to week. And so literally that was my reason to exist. That was my meaning. It was like I wasn't looking too far into the future. I wasn't in a growth mentality. I was just stuck in this grind, this loop. And so I really felt lost. And there was a lot of reasons why I felt lost. There's a lot of things that happened in my childhood, which I spoke about in the first podcast. But why I mentioned that is that there's millions of men on this planet that feel like that now, in this moment, that they're just stuck in the grind. And so to those men, I just want to just give you guys a shout out and call you forward. And the way that I got out of the matrix was, first I had to declare to myself that I want to change. And I just remember screaming, I think it was number 1 in the first podcast, like hitting the steering wheel. I was like, there's got to be more to life. There's got to be more to this. Because I was just stuck in that grind. And when I declared there has to be another way, because when we're in that loop, we're in survival mode. We're just literally surviving the day, let alone the week. We're just surviving the day, hanging for the Friday so we can just have the weekend. We've usually got no motivation, no energy. So when you think or declare to yourself, hey, enough's enough, there's got to be a different way, what you do is actually pop your head up out of the matrix, out of the grind, out of the loop, and we start looking for possibilities. And so what else is up there? What other opportunities? What is that other way? What is that other direction? And it was when I popped my head up and asked this question when I was 27, I started really asking and examining myself. And this is when I found men's work and personal development. And one of the big questions I asked myself was, who am I? And the next question I ask is, why am I here? What is my purpose on this planet? And so, yeah, just wanted to start this podcast with that.
Yeah, that's a condensed version of the whole 90 minutes on Heart Warriors. So it's good for people to go back and recap on that. So what is purpose, Blase?
So if we go into the Oxford Dictionary, the word purpose means our reason to exist. And so a lot of people, and I work closely with men, and I'll say men and women as well, but a lot of people look for purpose outside of themselves, thinking it's somewhere to get to. But purpose is not a destination. Purpose is the person that you become along that journey. And so that means purpose is an inside game. So you find a sense of purpose within, not through external things. That you might achieve certain things along that way, but purpose is an inside game. And this is why so many men are, I can't find my purpose, because you're looking in the wrong spot, bro. Yeah. You're looking outside of yourself. You're looking for it in that thing or that thing or that thing. But purpose is in here. Now, if we put a 40,000 foot view up, or go even further than that, we'll go to our soul. We'll go to our soul level, because 7.7 billion souls on this planet. And our soul also has a purpose. And your soul, my soul, everyone listening to this podcast soul, our soul's purpose is to live its fullest expression. Literally, that's it. To live its fullest expression. Now, how many of us aren't living that? There's this thing called FOWOT, fear of what others think.
Oh, I like that. Haven't heard it. FOWOT.
And so FOWOT is usually the biggest thing that our soul isn't living our biggest expression or fullest expression. So our soul's purpose is to live its fullest expression, outwardly fully expressive, just 100% authentically, Gemma and Blase and everyone else is as the individual. But we don't, because of fear of what others think. I'm going to use an example right now of so the people pleaser. So for men, so we have this people pleaser mask. So we please everyone else, and we've grown up in this generation that, in men my age, we grew up with our mum's version of what it meant to be a man, because the majority of was our dads were out working, so we grew up with mum and then what she wanted, or thought what it meant to be a man. So we became these people pleasers. Of men not following our purpose or our direction or our mission, just and we're sacrificing ourselves for our women and children. The other part of that people pleaser is then also the chameleon. So we put this mask on as men, and we change who we are depending on the environment. Now, that's not being your soul's purpose. So a soul is the fullest expression. So a soul, being its fullest expression, shouldn't give a fuck what environment we're in, whether it's work, whether at home, whether with our in-laws, whether we're at school, whether we're in with men or women, that we're just that same person or that same soul being its fullest expression. Now, we men, and why I'm going to mention this, because I remember having the chameleon mask on. So I'm a deeply spiritual man. Found this spiritual aspect to myself at about the age of 27, and started exploring what that looked like for me. So I studied Buddhism for 3 years. I almost became a Buddhist. Like I was studying Buddhism when my partner and I met, so almost 7 years ago. And it was like maybe 2 months into us meeting. I'm like, hey, I'm about to take a vow to become a Buddhist. Would you like to come with me and come to the ceremony? It was a 2-day ceremony. And after the first day, I'm like, actually, because I'm very integral with my word. And it's just like, man, they've got these 5 precepts, like no alcohol, not eating meat, no lying, I think there's no stealing, and I can't remember the 15. Maybe not harming others or animal or something. Yeah, but like, man, if I kept going against those vows for the rest of my life, like I would just be diminishing myself. So I'm like, actually, you know what? Buddhism, I can't commit to the religion. I like a lot of their like philosophy, so I'm just going to take what's good for me, but I'm not going to take the vow. And so, yeah, just started exploring like spirituality, what that meant for me. Because I grew up in a Catholic school, and that got forced upon me. So I went to that school for rugby league, not for the religion. So a religion got put upon me. I'm not bagging the Catholic Church or anything like that. But for me, I asked a lot of questions as a kid. or as an adolescent. And then they didn't want to hear my questions, or they wouldn't give me answers. They wouldn't let me debate. Whereas Buddhism let me debate. That whole thing was about conversation, of like learning it for yourself through like direct experiences and learning. Whereas like, no, this is a dictatorship. So I didn't like it. And so, yeah, discovered, and this took like Catholic Church. I took some stuff that was good for me, Buddhism, learning about Native American culture, Aboriginal culture, my heritage, Māori culture. So I've developed this is what my essence and my spiritual side. And through a peyote ceremony, which is a Native American tradition, you have some cactus and you go through this peyote ceremony. I came home and said to my partner, hey, I want to pray. From now on, I want to pray. We have 3 children, and I want our children to grow up with prayer. The reason for that was in this peyote ceremony, you're in this process, in this teepee for like 12 hours, and you're praying to the water and the sun comes up through the teepee, and then you go outside. It's like a 12-hour to 16-hour journey. It's like phenomenal. And you just eat medicine and sing and chant songs. One of the songs the Native American people, and this is a tribe of people for eons have been singing this song, that all the children on the planet know that they are loved. And that just hit me right. That was literally it. I've got goosies now. That's what I was searching for. That's how I feel as a human. Like that's what I feel. I deeply resonate with that. And this tribe of beautiful people have been praying for that. And in Native American tradition, they say the prayer that we do now and the way that we live our life now is for the next 7 generations that are going to come. And so that means that 7 generations back, someone in our lineage prayed for us to be here. And it's like, holy man, that's like a 1,000 years. That's 500 that way, 500 that way. Holy. And I was like, this is what I experience. This is what I feel. And so I came back, and because of the Catholic Church, the word prayer was really like taboo to me. And especially when I said it to Melinda about prayer, and she's like, oh, I'm like, look, prayer is just words with intention. Personally, I don't want to say amen. Let's take a phrase from men's work, which is aho. And so aho means me too, I agree. And so we've started praying around our table every time we eat. We thank the animals, and I really wanted our children to realize that an animal is a being, and it's not just from Woolworths, that we say thank you. And it's super beautiful too. My eldest boy, my apologies. My eldest. So if we're having bacon, I'd like thank you to the pig that gave its life so we may have this bacon. And my eldest boy said one time, thank you to the horse that gave its life for this gravy that we're eating. Like, yes. So he's trying to conceptualize it. It's amazing. So we're doing the work. And so we pray, we say, I hope. Now that's something I wanted to do. Now this back why this is a long-winded story is then so the chameleon mask. So now this is where Blase wasn't, or the soul Blase wasn't living my fullest expression. So we go to my in-laws' house. My fiance, my soon-to-be wife, 2 weeks and 4 days. So we go to my in-laws' place, and so her mum's a Reiki master, very spiritual lady. Her dad is a tradie, blokey bloke, Aussie bloke. They fully embraced me, loved me so much. But there was this part of me that was hiding because of FOMO. So we sat down to have dinner, and I could feel my soul saying, just tell them that this is important to you. And that, is it okay if we do this here? Because it's something that is with your family. Because they can always say no. And I didn't. I pushed it back down. And so I could hear it, and I just sent it away. And so I kept that chameleon mask on. That whole time I was eating my food, I was just stuck in my head. Yeah. And I was beating myself up. It's like, you're hiding yourself, bro. You're hiding. What? There's no, and like I was just going backwards and forwards. Like, what does it matter if they laugh at you? What does it matter if they say no? They couldn't break those, like all of these different speculations, these assumptions. And if we assume, we make an ass out of you and me. And so that happened, this chameleon mask. And every time we'd go around for a barbecue for like 3 times, I could feel the anxiety within my body because the chameleon come out. I'm like, oh, am I going to say it today? And then I finally was like, hey guys, I told them the thing. It was like, is it right if we say thank you? And I'm like, I just want to say thank you for dinner and the intention of being here. I'm just grateful for everything. like, oh, this is amazing. Oh my God. So the fear and the anxiety of me having FOWOT stopped me living my fullest expression. But the thing was, when I lived my fullest expression, it was fully embraced.
Yes.
Because it was me.
Yes.
Now, so many people, and I was included, had this fear that if I was my fullest expression, people wouldn't like me. And it's like, number one, it's one of the primal fears that we have. There's 3 primal fears as a human. One of those primal fears is like the sense of belonging. And so the fear is the fear of banishment, of being isolated by yourself. And so it's a primal fear. We humans, we want that connection. Though what we need to realize is that as we grow and rise in consciousness and we start becoming more aware, and that rising in consciousness is getting closer to that fullest expression of ourselves, as we start to do that, there's going to be certain relationships and people in our life that are going to fall away because they're not part of that evolution of the soul that's going to be rising. But the people that are supposed to be there, that are supposed to be beside you and with you as you rise in consciousness, they're going to slip away. And this is where a beautiful way to describe this is that all the relationships in our life take up energetic real estate. So if we're the center of the universe, we've got all of this real estate and relationships take up some of that real estate. As we grow and rise in consciousness, those relationships that are going to like subside or let go because they don't understand who you are or who you're being as you continue growing, they're creating more room and space within your energetic real estate to call something to fill it in. That has been super relevant in my life in this moment. So I just mentioned we're getting married. And so 3 really important people in my life up until, and they're still important to me, but they're not as important anymore. There's 3 people now not coming to our wedding. 2 of them are related to me. One of them was my best friend. So through the emotional process and the fear of what other people think and these like, okay, they're not coming to the wedding, I just remembered everything that I just spoke to you, what I just declared then. What is this doing? So I sat down and I was on a Sunday, we lived by a lake. I sat down by the lake, rolled a mapacho, which is sacred ceremonial tobacco, and I put a prayer out to the universe. Show me why these 3 people are leaving. Because if I'm rising and growing in consciousness and getting closer to my fullest expression, show me what is like, and this sacred union with my future wife is about to happen. Show me why they're not supposed to be here. And the very next day, I had one of the most important meetings I've ever had pertaining to my mission. So, oh, okay, cool. So it was about my mission and my purpose on this planet. And so, like, I still have a relationship with these people, but it's never going to be the same as it was ever. Because what this thing that's come in is taking up more energetic real estate, which means I can't have this relationship. Now, I'm okay with that. A lot of people have been having so many opinions about that, but I just understand. And I understand that it's part of my purpose, and that as I keep getting close to that fullest expression, there's going to be things or shedding or layers or this energetic real estate that needs to let go to be filled up. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a great question now around this, because I totally get that. And there's a lot of trust in the divine plan, for want of a better word. But there's also a lot of action that needs to be taken towards a man creating his mission. So what's the balance or the harmonies between active pursuit of your of a man's purpose and surrender to divine flow?
So there's an equation that I live by. So manifestation, whatever we want to manifest in life, equals intention, so the prayer, trust, and intention, plus aligned, committed action. So that means we can't just sit in prayer thinking that everything's going to come our way. We have to take action. So like I said that prayer to the universe, spoken this back and put the prayer out, but the very next day, there was an opportunity presented itself that I like, okay, my fullest expression, would you, sir, like to invest and back me in my business and our mission? So I had to jump. I had to verbally say that, but the universe provided me that person in front of me.
Yes.
So aligned, committed action. So you can't just show me. Cool. The universe showed me, divine intelligence showed me, but putting that aligned, committed action. So intention plus aligned, committed action minus the excuses and the reasons. One of those excuses, the reasons is FOWOT.
And so you had to surrender and find a way to be at peace with those three people exiting to some extent out of your life. So it's trusting that they're not meant to be there and not actively pursuing people who don't want to be in our lives.
Yep.
And surrendering to that and opening up to the new people, then the space we've created.
So the way that we've invited everyone to our wedding isn't from the past. Everyone at our wedding is someone that we want to be in our future. And so that's been our prayer. And so the synchronicity of this is one of my dear brothers. His name's Dan Poro. He's on the Sunshine Coast. And so he runs a full moon liberation and a sunset liberation. So it's a silent disco, and every single one's got a different theme. So my fiance and I went to one 6 weeks ago, and it was a Burning Man theme. So it had this massive big fire in the middle of it. And they said, we're going to do a fire ceremony. And I'm all about ceremonies and rituals. And they said, we're going to do a release on a full moon. Write down what it is that you want to let go of. So I wrote down, I want to release everything and anything that is not going to serve my sacred union in 6 weeks' time. And then, so put it in the fire. And I just like danced and prayed to the fire for like 2 hours. I was really connected to the fire. And then, they dropped the music after that 2 hours, and they asked a couple of people to share. And so all these ladies were sharing a thing. And then my soul spoke, you got to declare this in front of all these 400 people. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I walked towards the fire. And as I did, Dan's like, hey, I need a man to speak. I'm like, hey, bro. And then so I declared that openly to, like, not just between me and God, but to everyone there, this prayer. And like 400 people cheered. It was like so liberating. Didn't realize this. So I had my buck party 2 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, I was sitting by a fire with three mates. One of them was the DJ at that Burning Man full moon liberation. And he's like, oh, bro. And so I just saying how amazing that thing was. He goes, did you hear that dude's prayer, man? And then he just spoke all about it. I just let him go for a bit. And he's like, it was epic. And I was able to just drop a beat. We got into it. I'm like, bro, that dude was me. And he's like, what? Then it hit. I'm like, oh my God, I prayed for this to happen. I prayed for these three people to not be at our wedding, to release all of the blocks and everything. And it's like, oh man. So like why I mention that is like, we are very powerful beings if we understand that. But yeah, another thing I just wanted to mention too is that another thing too about like our purpose is that there's nowhere to get to. So if there's nowhere to get to, that also means that we're always been on purpose.
Yes.
So that every single thing that has happened in your life, or my life and your life, has got us to this exact moment. But what got us here will not get us there. So if we keep doing the same things, we're not going to get to the next thing. Example is, my dad left when I was 7. That's part of my biggest purpose now, because I've got 3 young kids. And I hit that mark. And his dad left when he was 2. I remember when my oldest boy was 2, that all of this stuff came up about me just tapping out. This is too fucking hard. But I remembered my dad's dad left when he was 2. I'm like, but I need support. Got psychologists, got counselors, and I just went to work because I'm breaking that lineage. I was molested when I was 9. Like that was, it was shit, but it was part of my purpose, because now I like teach people about boundaries and saying no. That was been my biggest thing as a people pleaser, or reformed people pleaser, was saying no. My little brother, like attempting suicide and blaming me for leaving him when I was 22. That has been one of the biggest components of my purpose on this planet. Why I work so deeply and closely with men. If that he survived, but if that horrific moment in his life and also mine did not happen, I would not be where I am, having left construction and just a whole life ahead of me, I think, in this moment, just for men and wholly and solely helping men so that they don't feel lost, that they know that there's people to talk to, that they can have a sense of direction and find their own purpose. And there's literally the driving force is my brother. And I've been able to use that pain and turn that into power. Yes. Every single woman that I was ever with up until my fiance were part of my purpose. There was a training ground. And so all the heartache, I remember, and I was, so a lot of the stuff we teach is around the archetypes of masculinity. So one of the archetypes, and from Carl Jung, and one of the archetypes is the lover energy. And so the lover, this place or this connected essence that we all have, this love that we all possess. One of the shadow sides of that is the addicted lover that just gives so much. Is just super addicted, has to have the love, but very controlling with that love. That's what I was. I was very controlling with the love I had in all my relationships up until I started doing some work on myself. And every time I broke up, I would just be a mess, crying like horrendously for days on my bed. I just remember it just because I gave so much of myself. But it was from an addiction place. Yes. And that's why it hurt so bad. But all of those things were meant to happen. And so if we put a 40,000 foot view up and look back at our life, there's going to be these lights that come up and this on your path over however many years you are. And it's going to be like this, but it's all on that trajectory moving forward. And it got you exactly where we are in this moment. And so I just want to, for the viewers and the men, ladies listening, just remember that everything got you here, but it won't get you there. Like what got you here won't get you there. And so that means that there is that another evolution of yourself. There is that another fullest expression of yourself, for your soul. What does that look like? And now that, when we know that, we understand when shit goes pear-shaped, there's a reason for it. Maybe it's going to take 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years for it to like drop in. Yeah. Like my brother, that didn't drop in. I was 22. That didn't drop in until I was 34 and left construction. 12 years later, I realized that pain that I endured was like, oh, this is why I'm here on this planet. 12 years until that nugget dropped in. But if we understand that everything, we're on purpose, we should live our fullest expression, that when we're in these challenging times, and you don't have to do this alone, like I had 8 men hold me for a week. And I got super depressed when these 3 people were shedding out of my life. I remember sending my executive manager a message. I'm like, dude, I just don't feel like getting out of bed, man. I just want to hide under the blankets and the sheets. Every day for 5 days, he messaged me. He's like, dude, get the fuck out of bed. But for 5 days, man, like he just messaged me. And that's all he said. Nothing else. How are you? I said, get the fuck out of bed. But for me, that's how I received that. But there were 7 other men in my life that checked in on me and held me. Why I say that is because of those 8 men that held me, and I didn't do it alone. When I sat down for that prayer of that tobacco, I understood what was going on. I understood that it was like a letting go. It was a process that needs to happen. And I was able to say, hey, show me what's available, what's the opportunity, why is this happening? If I didn't have that support, I would have hid under the sheets for a week, got into depression, which then would have turned into drinking and eating shit food, all of that kind of stuff. And so I just share that with you, men, if you're watching this. And I know that I started this potty with like, when we get stuck in this loop and this grind and we're in this matrix and we feel like we're just living day to day, big thing is like having support systems, like having that support and having people to be able to bounce ideas that don't always agree with you. Don't have an echo chamber of friendships. Have men that can hold really stern mirrors up to you. And that was my dear brother over in the States, Jetty Azuma. He runs rites of passages for men. He teaches a lot of Native American stuff. He held some stern mirrors up to me. And it was in those stern mirrors, like, cool. One of the things, he's like, dude, do you realize that you're in the middle of all of this? So this is all your fault? I'm like, oh, man, that's what? Straight in the feels. But then that was the hard pill I needed to swallow. I need to actually say, what's my responsibility in all of this?
Mm.
And when I was able to do that and work through all of this stuff, then I was able to get to that place. I'm like, okay, cool. Something that I can't understand, something I don't know is conspiring for me.
Definitely.
And so, yeah. And I think that then comes back to the question that you asked. How do you trust in the divine intelligence? How do you trust in that? It's an unknown thing, but also the more that I just had support, was able to feel the emotions and not use the excuses and the reasons. So that last minus, just cut all that shit out and then put some aligned, committed action in there, getting up out of bed, just going about my day, feeling the emotions, having the cries, getting angry, allow myself to do all of that. Then it was able to manifest from that, from not that place of like the excuses and the reasons. And the more that we are able to live like that and understand that there's a shedding process and we're elevating and we're rising in consciousness, being close to that fullest expression, we actually have direct experiences of the divine. So that direct experience the next day when that person was presented or it came in front of me that I was able to ask, I was like, holy fuck, I'm that powerful. I'm that connected. Yes. Okay, cool. Trust this. And then it's through that trust of repetition that the manifestation just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like that quote that is success is sequential. Doesn't happen overnight. It's like sequential. So a win after a win after a win after a win. Trust in the divine and your path, one after another, after another, after another. The more that you keep trusting and like believing within yourself and your infinite possibilities and what you can create, the bigger and bigger and bigger, because there is no edge to that. But we as a human try and put a boundary. Oh, I can only go this far, or I can only go this far. It's like, world's your oyster, man.
Oh, amazing. And of course, a million questions, but the one I was trying to keep in my mind, don't talk because I'll forget it, is how important is it to get out of that victim mentality and see every tough time, every challenge, every emotional pain as an opportunity for growth and expansion and to move us into a better place? Because without the pain, we can't make the choice to change. Like if we have a cruisy life, we're never going to be motivated to change and become our best versions, I believe. So every pain and challenge, every crisis is an opportunity that I feel the divine gives us, presents us, for us to step up and choose something different.
Yeah, 100%. The question you asked at the start then was how hard or how do we do that?
Victims, yeah.
It's fucking challenging. It's super challenging.
Yeah.
It's one of the most challenging things we'd ever have to face, because we actually have to say to ourselves, I'm in victim right now. Yes. That everything that happened, like the world's not at fault. The world's not at blame. This is on me.
Yeah.
That ownership and responsibility.
Are neutral.
Yes. And it's just how we're responding to it or usually reacting to it. That's a really hard pill to swallow. And so there's that drama triangle. And so a drama triangle. And so drama is also when we get caught in this victim mentality. So there's like the hero, the villain, or the victim. So when there's these three characters that we play. And so when we play these characters of the hero, we're trying to fix everything and we become a martyr, or we're the villain. So the people like are coming at us, and so we feel like we're attacked, or we actually are the villain and we're the ones criticizing people, and we're putting them down, and we're like consuming so much of our time and our energy worrying about what that person's doing. Yes. Like I remember that villain for me in men's work was I'll be looking at all my mates that are running like men's work and comparing myself to them. I was the villain living this like the fear and like this envy, and like it was just consuming. And so again, that's a victim mentality. Like that's a villain in that drama. I was creating this drama within my life. And then the other one is the victim. Woe is me. Yes. What? Of course that light just turned red. Like,
You know what you said just brought something then, you know, when we're on this journey to becoming a person that we can sit at peace with to start with and then expand. But while we're not at that stage and we look at other people, like you said, you looked at people doing the men's work and there was some sort of envy or, you know, why can't I be at that point? Well, then we've got a choice. We can either, to get to that level, we can either bring other people down to try and come to our level, or raise ourselves up to meet them at their level.
Yep.
And I think that's a really important awareness.
Oh, 100%. Because pulling them down is the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
And this is rife in Australia.
Oh.
Like, why are they succeeding? Yeah. And so the biggest thing back to that conversation is when I'm like looking at that, is like how I got out of that is I started looking at, okay, why am I comparing to that? Like, why am I comparing myself to what they're doing? Why is the envy there? So asking powerful questions, get powerful answers. And so I started like, oh, it's amazing. That's what I want to be doing. Okay, cool. Well, if you want to be doing that, come back to your equation. What do you want to manifest? Don't worry about that. You can take whatever they're doing, but I'm my own soul. They're their own soul. So live my fullest expression, because that's what is required of me. Not pretending to be that and doing it their way. Do it Blaze's way. Do it this way, because only I can do me like me. Only you can do you like you. Only you, the listener, can do you like you. It's so beautiful because no one else can do that like you.
Authenticity.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, then coming back, what I'm looking at, like my own goalposts. I'm looking at the goalposts, and so if I'm trying to do what they're doing, are they my goalposts, or am I living out of envy? And it's like this envious goalposts, or is it? And so not now. It's just these people I was comparing to, but now these goalposts are these goalposts that I'm doing because I want my dad to be proud of me. Mm. Are these goalposts because I might for my mum, because I want my mum to understand who I am? Are these goalposts because of like the statistics around the world around men's suicide? Am I doing it for that? Like what is that driver?
Or to earn money and to have a fancy house, external validation.
So much. So then I came back and I started looking at my goalposts. Like, what is my purpose on this planet? What am I here to do? And then that got me to really tap back into my purpose. And it's been about 3 years. There's this beautiful process. I'm going to take all the viewers, listeners through shortly. And I discovered this about 3-4 years ago. And it's how to put your purpose into one sentence. And especially when I understood my mission, like I really understood, like, okay, cool, I'm here to do something. I understood what that is.
Okay. Yep. What's the difference between mission and purpose?
So your mission, there will be things to achieve. There will be things that you set out to do. A mission is tangible. Yep. So how do you know that you've achieved the mission? Someone has to be able to say yes or no. So it has to be tangible. And then, yeah, your purpose, the sense of purpose. Your purpose is an internal game. So purpose is your meaning, your reason to exist. So purpose is your reason to exist, and a mission is something you're going to set out to do.
Okay.
So I have many reasons to exist, and they all come into my mission on this planet. And so if I encapsulate that into one sentence, and this took me about 3 years to 3 years of continuing growing as a man, failing in business, all of these things happening, and my daughter being born, and because we've got 3 kids, she's the youngest. There's so many little components, but they were big components. They got to me this thing, and it was Dan Porter, the dude I just mentioned. He's a beautiful soul brother of mine. It was just something that he said to me, and he said to me, he's like, dude, just have a look around, because he was part of the retreats that I run. He was one of my main facilitators, and we had this kindred spirit. We did a lot of work together in the breathwork scene and the sound healing, and he just took off and created this magic what he's doing with the Conscious Warriors community. And he said to me, he's like, dude, have a look what you've done, man. You just activated so many people. And I'm like, oh, no, I diminished it. I just diminished it because my mentor, I know that that's what he does. He activates people. And I've seen him do that on like massive grand scale. And so for my bro to say that, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not there.
Yes.
And it took me, he said it so many times. And I think he could sense that I was diminishing myself. And what I needed to do was take my mentor off a pedestal, come back and just understand that where I'm at, my mentor was at 8, 10, 12 years ago. Yeah. Understand I'm in this moment. I'm like, oh, and I actually reflected and looked around at all of these people that have come through our workshops, our retreats, our programs, and where they were in life, now where they are, just a short 2, 3 years later, the life, I'm like, holy fuck. I was the stone. I helped them with that. And you actually say, okay, cool. Yeah, man, that's what I fucking do. That's what I'm here to do. So I've always said I take people on the longest journey of their life, out of their head into their heart. And that is activating. When people men are able to like, cool. So I found this word. So my sentence of like what my purpose was, it was like my purpose on this planet is to empower. And it was like, it was about 10 to 12 words long. It was like pretty big. But then now my purpose is to activate a generation of men. And it's just like landed. It took me so long. It's like, cool, this is exactly what I'm here to do. And for me, there's so much complexity to that word because a generation of men, I've got 2 boys and a girl. So my children are a massive part of my purpose. Like it's why I'm here on this planet. I know that I was destined to be a father. I wanted to be a dad since I was 17. I just had to find the right partner. And so to raise these amazing children to good human beings and to allow them to unlock their fullest potential and be their fullest expression and allow them the safety that they can take as much calculated risk as possible so that they tap into what it is that they love and how could they create impact in the world, and follow their heart and create a living and abundance of that. Like, how can I teach them to do that? So it took me 32, 33 years to find that thing out. If I could get them to do that at a younger age, like half of that, man, wouldn't that be amazing? Even like 2/3 of that.
Yeah.
What could they do like on this planet? So that's just one aspect of that, of activating generation of men. And my fiance, my future wife, she's a huge part of that as well, is because the work that we're doing as men is for the sake of our partners, not for our partners. It's for the sake of. And this is that people pleaser. But when we do things for others, it's a people pleaser, but it's for the sake of. So while we work on ourselves and we choose to work on ourselves, we choose to become a better man for ourselves first and foremost. And the byproduct of that is we show up more powerfully, more connected to our partners, to our children, to our family, to our friends, to our community. And I think this is why, and I say this a lot, I think this is why the men's work movement is going to be bigger than the feminist movement.
Where does freedom come into this? I mean, with my understanding of masculine and feminine energies, the masculine main drive is freedom, which is connected to mission.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what men seek? And is it more important than love in a man's journey?
Oh, my goodness. What a loaded question. Is freedom more important than love? I don't feel that you could experience freedom to its fullest potential or capacity if you didn't have love.
Right. It's that balance.
Yeah, like it's and for me there's so many different components. Like this is one of the questions that I ask all of my clients or potential clients when they jump on a call with me. It's freedom. Do you feel free as a man? That's what I ask them.
Yeah, can we go into this?
Yeah, let's. The amount of different answers I get is amazing because if we look at life as singular or linear, we'll not like, and this is why so many men are getting jacked, is because we've been boxed, we've been put in these parameters, we've been caged as men.
cage.
Yeah, mental, emotionally, physically, the people pleasing mark. There's been so much conditioning like around men, and we've been caged. And so this is why men don't feel free, because there's so much societal expectations. Go get the house and get the wife and get the kids and the good job and the promotion, and you feel like a man. No, it's still this hollow game.
Always chasing something else, always chasing the carrot.
Yep, and it's
never
outside
happy
of yourself.
Yeah.
And so having that box around men is like and to think men, this gender is like singular. Man, there's so much diversity within our gender.
Yes.
So many different values and opinions and judgments and magic and nuances that we can't put a box around it. And what we do in men's work, we remove the box and we give frameworks. Like in Buddhism, here's a framework, explore this for yourself and make it your own. This is what we teach. It's like, this is now you become your own version of what it means to be a man. Now that is freedom. Not being told, not being the man that your mum wants you to be or your dad wants you to be, without constrictions or reservations. So when I ask men on this discovery call, do you feel free? A lot of, say 50% of men start with yes. I'm like, okay, cool. Is that the full duck? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, a duck is, you see the duck above the water, but the legs are going like this. So what about the hold? Oh, no, hold up. Well, no. No, I don't feel financially free, or I don't feel time free. And so this is why I said that singular. We teach there's 7 different components or life domains that encapsulate manhood. And so across all of them, I think that is okay, cool. Can we feel freedom within all of those 7 realms, which is our job, career, and our purpose, our health, our relationships, our finances, our spirituality, our personal growth, and our play, adventure, and fun. Now, so there's a lot. And so this is like, again, so many men try and hit all of these in one day.
Right.
Literally, we do. We fucking overachieve so much. And then men think like they'll hit, say, 3 or 4 of them over the day. At the end of the day, they're beating themselves up because they didn't do enough. So what? Because our expectations are so high, because the goalposts that have been set that aren't the individual's goalpost.
Yes.
They're trying to please their partner, trying to get their mum and dad's approval, trying to get society's approval, trying to get more followers on Instagram, whatever it is. But if we could just lower that, success is sequential, to like 3 of them, knock them out every single day. Doesn't mean you can't do the other ones, but whatever you're committing to, whatever the line committed action is to, 1, 2, 3, that's your mission. That's your mission every day. Hit those 3 at the end of the day. It's like, fuck, man, I achieved so much.
Yes.
All those, and I got that done as well.
Yes.
And then the ego's not going to
3 highs instead of 7 mediocres.
Yes, 100%. And so this is there's a beautiful book from Gary Keller called The One Thing. And so we've morphed Gary Keller's methodology around just having one thing, but then made the one thing method pertaining to these 7 life domains. And then like, let's go for that. And then that's how we get this sense of drive, stacking wins on top of each other, where we start to feel fulfilled. We start to feel freedom as a man. This is where we have this sense of fulfillment, a sense of purpose. We have a reason to exist because the mind is not beating us up anymore, that we didn't do enough, that we're not enough, that I should be doing more, that we're living from this heartfelt space. Then this is how we start to build momentum, how we get drive, how we pop our head up out of the rat race and we get back more energy. We claim back more time, because we're cutting out the stuff that is what we call trimming the fat, what's not relevant in our life, and just being single focused to this thing with like pertaining to our mission and our purpose on this planet. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, fuck, Blase, you keep saying about mission and purpose, but I don't know what that is, amazing. Because, so like, this was the best feedback I ever got, because I didn't know what it was when I started questioning what it was. And my mentor was like, perfect, bro. Just you being in the question of what is my purpose on this planet, you have progressed up the ladder to hundreds of millions of others men on this planet that are stuck still in that loop, that Groundhog Day, because you're asking yourself a question. This is that thing about what got you here will not get you there. This question is going to take you to the next spot. Because what got you here, you never asked that question. Now you're asking a question, what is my purpose on this planet? Let's go explore what that is. New trajectory. And so this having a look of like, okay, cool, what's my purpose on this planet? Firstly, celebrate yourself, dude. Celebrate yourself that you're actually asking yourself this question. Like, take the time to celebrate yourself and feel like the enormity the enormity that you've just woken up to the new possibility that there's something bigger for you, that you don't have to live life in pain and in this adversity, that you can choose to live a different way, that you can actually discover who you are, what you want to do. Doesn't matter how old you are, that if you ask that question, there's so much possibility. It's a really important question to ask. And it just hit soul level then, because I just remember the pain I was enduring when I was 32, and all of the tragedies and loss and the bottom of the barrel moments, and me wanting to kill myself a couple of occasions, and just thinking that I didn't have purpose and why am I supposed to be here, and the world wouldn't even know if I was gone. Those kind of questions that I was asking myself up here, and then got some support and help of like, okay, what's my purpose in this planet? And it started like this journey of discovery. Man, it's like been the most rewarding. It's super, super challenging, but now it's rewarding. Like there is these moments of, like we're saying about this pain, we can turn our pain into our power. And so, yeah.
And as you're saying it, I'm thinking you can't get from A to C without this point of B questioning. So the sooner you get to it, the sooner you're going to get to who you want to be, right? You can't bypass that point of questioning. Or do you think that some men, it just gets given to them?
Both.
Okay.
Both. But then the thing is, when it gets given to a man, they're ready for it. So they're consciously aware of it, for it. Example of that is, I left construction and just wanted to help people. And so I journaled and just wrote. And one of these questions is, what is it that I love? What is it that I'm really good at? What is my superpower? If I had $1 million, what would I be doing? If I had $0, what would I be doing? If I could wake up in every single day and make money by not feeling like work, what would I love to do? And so I started looking into what does my best day look like? How does that feel? What does it look like? So I had these notes for ages. And one of the biggest things is I love bringing people together. I love adventure. Like all of our kids have got the names of the elements. My partner and I have been to like 30-something countries between us. That I love culture and heritage, that I wanted to be able to drop my kids to school and pick them up. Back then, I wasn't even a parent. So I was forward planning like this. And so from all of these other things I explored, it came to me, like literally came to me. Start a tourism business, an adventure business. So we did. Experiential Sunshine Coast is one of I had a mobile cocktail bar when I was 24, but this was my partner and I went in together. So we created Experiential, where we retell Aboriginal Dreamtime stories, the World War First Settler stories, World War II stories, take people up all the natural wonders here of the Sunshine Coast, and fuse everything that I love together. It was amazing. And awesome. And it got me to this point. It was like maybe 18 months, 2 years, and COVID was starting to hit. But then the whole time, the universe was pulling me to do men's only. Just do men's only. So within Experientia, we started doing half day, days for men out in nature. This is back like 4 or 5 years ago, before there's so many people doing it on social media. Yeah. And we were doing it back then. Back then, I didn't know about videography. I so wish I had videography back then just to capture the essence. I was just taking it on my phone. But yeah, just I had someone with me to capture it. But yeah, take men out in the bush, take them up mountains and do the work that way. And then when it just presented itself, I did a breathwork session. It was the first date that Melinda and I had after our eldest boy was born. And so we went on a breathwork session with a gentleman by the name of Bassam Young. Amazing. If you guys want to sit with anyone, he's one of the best facilitators I've ever had. He did a rebirthing session with me, with not just me, with everyone. Went through three transitions. The fourth transition got to this vastness of darkness or nothingness. And his voice said to me, "What do you want to know?" Oh, fuck, God. Oh my God. Why am I here? And it was men's work. Like, okay, cool. What kind of men's work? And I said, the voice said, men's retreats. Like, okay. I've never ran a men's retreat. Who do I talk to? Who do I reach out to? They gave me 4 faces, 4 names. I knew 3 of them. I knew of the 4th one. And so, yeah, after we got out of that breath work, the next day, reached out to the 4 people. 2 months later ran the first Blokes Venture retreat. I was just ready for it. I was ready for it. It was never in my vortex to run retreats. I was happy climbing mountains and everything. But then it's just like, but I was ready for that. They got handed to me. And then so much of that has been beautiful. Like I got COVID back in March. Oh, now I think it was like the 11th retreat that we're running. So day 2, I couldn't do anything. I had COVID. So I had to isolate myself. And there's this beautiful moment where everyone was getting this group photo. Videographer didn't turn around. My facilitators didn't turn around. None of the men turned around. I was just standing back, but they could see me if they looked. Not one person asked for me to come join that photo. And I had this awakening that I was like, okay, cool. I just ascended because there was no one there to validate me, acknowledge me, pat me on the back, other than me and God. Oh my God, it was the most rewarding feeling that I didn't need Instagram likes, that didn't need the physical comments and all that kind of stuff, that I just felt so on purpose. Like, oh, awesome. And so this is when it's just starting to go, because now no longer about Blase. Like, cool, this is just a thing now. This is now God's work. And I'm just here, show me. And so that came through COVID. And then I remember coming home, I was so crook. The people that say they got COVID, and it was like, I was nothing. I was hammered. And I had insomnia and I couldn't sleep from like 11 to like 3 for like 4 or 5 days straight. But all of this business model would come through, all of these downloads, do this and that, and reach out to this person, that person, all this stuff was coming through. And so literally just listening has been my business coach model. It's like, yeah.
Is that because you had to lie still for a while? Like to
100%,
recover from COVID?
100%.
Yeah.
I had to lie still. The Wednesday before, I slipped a disc in my back. It was just like, slow the fuck down. Bang, got hit by a Mack truck, flipped a disc in my back, and then got COVID in like 2 days. And so I literally just had to just stop and be.
There's probably loads of men that the universe is trying to deliver you a message, but you can't hear it because you're so distracted. You're not in any amount of silence or stillness, which are masculine qualities, to be able to hear your message and your intuition and your guidance to lead you on your mission.
But, sorry, rather than saying but, actually, so what happens when we say but? When we say but, we cancel out everything that we've just said. And so rather than saying but, the beautiful one is to say yes and. So everything, I don't want to say but what you said, because I don't want to cancel what you said. I want to say yes and. Yes and. For your listeners, don't beat yourself up, because we've been conditioned to have the worker mentality. Go, 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 do. The more that you achieve, the more successful you are. This is within the construction industry. What doesn't matter what job, I won't say all jobs, but a lot of the way that the world has been set up is for us to go, 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 do. Yes. And this is this worker mentality that we get we're stuck in, or so many men are stuck in. Yeah. So don't beat yourself up if your life at this moment does not have any stillness within it. Again, though, if this is like ask powerful questions, get powerful answers, what do I need to do to create more stillness within my day, within my week? And so now start creating some space, even if and this is something I teach where there's 96 pockets of time in a day. If you break the day into 15-minute intervals, just take one pocket of time for stillness, just one. You still got 95 other ones to go, do, but just one pocket of time every single day. Just start with that. One pocket of time for yourself just to be still. Because within that stillness, you'll find the clarity. But in that stillness, you don't have to do anything. And it means that you just being you is fucking enough, dude.
Does it have to be silence as well? You can't be still and be listening to music or still and watching telly, right?
No, that's not still. That's still doing. That's still doing.
Yeah.
So just literally sitting and being. What I really enjoy, and this is what I teach all men, is that when they're in that stillness, if they don't meditate, because there's a lot of people that haven't meditated before. So rather than meditating, look at it as like 15 minutes of mindfulness and sit down and be with nature. Man, nature is the greatest teacher on this planet. There's so many lessons. Like you're always like the answers are always within you. And for me, like sitting in nature, those answers come through. And it's like that we are nature. Is there innate wisdom? Is that we are nature? We're mammals, like, and we're part of nature. And so just going back, getting away, like so many men and ladies, like living in the concrete jungles. It's like literally like skyscrapers around you everywhere. The hustle and bustle, the rat races, go. Plug out of that. Like disconnect out of that. Just find a park or a stream and get your shoes off, put your feet in the dirt, get outside, get in the sunlight, like feel the elements, feel nature. Just literally do that for a week. You'll feel amazing. Not even trying to find clarity or any answers, just for yourself, for your own emotional well-being. You'll
we live near the beach, but for people who go on beach holidays, how good do they feel after they've a week, just in the elements when it's how powerful it is. Blase, we've got about half an hour left. I've got 2 questions that I'd like to ask, but then I'd want to make sure you've got enough time to say everything you need to say. I was interested in, 1, your definition of success, and 2, with men, are many men thinking their mission or their purpose is to create as much money as possible as opposed to service to others? Is that a distinct division in and contradiction to purpose?
Not really. It's not a contradiction because someone's purpose may be to be the richest man on the planet.
Okay.
And so, like, how could we judge that person for that? And so it could be like you look at Warren Buffett. He's like super rich, works every single day of his life. Is it the life? Is it success to me? Fuck no. I don't want to be that dude. I don't want to work every single day. I want to have connection with my family and my children. I love adventure. I love being outdoors. I don't want to sit and just do that. But for him, it really lights him up. And so this is now about like, whatever lights you up, that is your purpose. And so coming back to that first question is like, what does success mean to me? It means to this. I literally journaled on this maybe 3 years ago because I realized that the goalposts I had for myself weren't mine. Still, they were like there are so many others, and so one of my markers for success is that living my life on my own terms, which means that around time. So I believe that time is the most valuable commodity. And I say commodity because we can spend time. We can spend it on our others. Like that's the most precious gift we can ever give somebody is our time and our presence. So many people try to buy back time, get back more time. So yeah, I feel it's a commodity. I know that's a juxtaposition of the actual word commodity. But yeah, so living life on my terms. So being able to, if a surf is pumping, go for a surf. If like, so I'm not just chained to work or chained to something. I have to do that and it's caught in that victim. Another marker for success for me is around awareness of like when my soul talks to me, to action it, even like, and so making it uncomfortable comfortable. So like the other day at that Burning Man thing, like when my soul said to me, you have to claim this in forever. Fuck it. And just like trusting that for me, that's success. With my family, like family is a massive part of my success. So having quality time with my family, quality time, intimacy, and connection with every single one of the members of my family. I'm impact driven, but I'm also income driven as well. I don't want to diminish that because, but I have a very clear distinction between both of them. That's impact first for me. And so it's like living a life of service and impact, and income is the byproduct of that. Yes. So living for me that way then means that I'm always on purpose. And so I can walk into a service station, and my mission is my purpose is to activate a generation of men. So if I walked into a service station and can put a smile on somebody's face and make them feel good about themselves, that's on purpose. And I know when I feel really good within myself, and these conversations just open up. They're activating, they're life-giving. So there's, I used to be driven to have the house and all that kind of stuff, but now it's my future wife owns her house, and so it's our house, and we're actually in a rental right now, renting our house out, and we've started talking about having something of our own, bricks and mortar, so she can paint walls, do the gardens, all that kind of stuff. For me, I'm like, man, I don't need that because I've been learning about investments and that kind of stuff. And well, yet as a family, I'm like, actually, you know what? That would be nice to have that. And so cool. So it's okay to have that. And so cool. Looking at what that is, now I turn to the impact. What do I need to create and help and be of service that is then going to in turn help our family? And so that's a beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur. But there's never ever a no. So what do I need to create? Is
there a difference between abundance and financial money?
100%. 100%. So many people think that abundance is money. Abundance is energy. Yes. Abundance is energy, and like money is one form of energy, but like relationships. This is one of our prayers we always say at the table, because we always pray to the future as well, and thank all the abundance that's coming our way, and state what it is: financial abundance, relationships, friendships, the food that we have on the table, like the rain, the water, like the abundance of everything that we have. Yeah. Not just money. Money is just one form of it. It's one form of energy, but there's so much other energy on this planet as well.
Love it. I think that's so important for people to really feel into the differences, what they are for them. Because the other thing is, sometimes we think things can only come into material possessions can only come into our life through manifestation of money, but that's not the case either. You know, the means to an end it's crazy. You know, if you focus on the end result, you don't know how the universe is going to bring it in for you.
So the after COVID, so all the downloads came. This is what I need to do. One of the biggest things I need to do is systemize my business so that I could scale it. Oh man, what a mission. Get a phone call from a gentleman that was in one of our programs, and he's like, hey man, just had this intuitive hit to ring you, and just want to, they sent me a message. Just had this intuitive hit just to let you know about my zone of genius. I'm like, okay, cool, man. What is it? And he told me, like, oh, dude, let's jump on the phone. So we jump on the phone, and he loves, and it's his genius to write standard operating procedures, SOPs. He's done it for massive, massive companies. We've had like they were doing 2.3 million calls a year. I think they had like 150, 180 staff. Like the SOPs to systemize all of that was just like blows my mind. Then it was too corporate, so he left, a bit more heart-centered, and he found the biggest men's movement, the fatherhood movement in Australia. So he would work with them. And then, so yeah, we got to this talk. I was like, man, I need someone to help me with that. Now, why I say that, why I say this is because we're actually exchanging his service, and I'm paying him in TPR, which is like a cryptocurrency. There's not money. It's a cryptocurrency that we exchange with each other through his time. And so, yeah, it was incredible. It blew my mind. And so, yeah, within that cryptocurrency, we get a box of organic fruit and veggies delivered to our door every 2 weeks. And at the moment, the compounding interest that I'm getting, because daily compounding interest over the interest for the 2 weeks, that box of veggies is free because of the interest. And so my family is getting fed from something I have like that much knowledge around. But, oh my God. So it's like, there's so much more to manifestation than money.
Yeah. Wow. What else needs to be said, Blase, in this conversation around purpose?
So I did say to the people that how to find your purpose and put it in one sentence. For the men that are starting to figure out their purpose and their mission and want to put it in a succinct sentence, you had to brainstorm this. And so there's 3 tiers. So the first question is, was it love specific? So what is it that you do from love? And so just all of these words and phrases and everything. So is it, do you lead? Do you teach? Do you guide? Do you activate? What are those words? And just like write as many of them and little phrases. It's nice to do it with, like, I do this for my clients because I can then I'm not emotionally attached to it. And so I can just look at everything. And so, yeah, then you write just a heap of that. The next tier is specific. Specifically, when you look at that thing that you love, and this thing that you love is like, so it's love, or what do you love doing? Then specifically, who do you love doing that for or with? And so it's like, and then for like, it could be really specific, like it could be teenage girls, or it could be men, or like specifically, who is it? Then unconditional, that then is the if you had $1 million or $0, what would you be doing? And just that was just because unconditional then. Yeah. Just unconditional. And so that's where my mentor, his purpose is to be the embodiment of God's love as a father, husband, and transformational coach. Yeah.
We have to get him on Heart Warriors.
Oh man, he's a gang. You got to try and get a hold of him. He's So his name's Preston Smiles. If you guys don't know or have never heard of him, follow him. He's a gangster. He is.
Where is he? Is he on Facebook?
Yeah. He's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, every single social media platform known to man. Jump on YouTube, and he's got a channel called Questions with Preston. And yeah, he's just a wordsmith. And so for the men out there that have never done men's work before, my partner was the one that kicked me up the ass, gave me the gentle nudge, and pushed me into personal development. And so it wasn't like, I wanted change, but I needed a nudge too. And so my partner, there was this video Preston put up, and it was how to call in your one. And she goes, hey, have a look at this dude. And so I watched this video, and I was like, oh man, he doesn't seem all hippie woo-woo kind of stuff. He's speaking some truth that I'm like really vibing with. And so I said, what's that dude's name? And so she said Preston Smiles. I'm like, oh, cool. So afterwards, I started looking at his stuff, and it started like on my own accord, just watching and consuming his content. And then would have been about 6 months later. She bought me a 2 or 3 day workshop him and his wife were running. And then that was the start of the journey. And so, then we went to his thing. Him and I ended up, maybe he did the workshop, then another workshop the weekend after we did. Then about 4 months later, did this men work program called Man Cave. So it was only men only. The 2 workshops were with females. So I did that. It was an online program. And then at the end of that call of the 3 months, like, hey, dude, how do I become part of this? And then, so him and I I became a coach, and then we created CMBs, and me, him, and 9 other men, 11 of us created CMB, Conscious Man Brotherhood, and that started the trajectory. And so, just know why I mentioned that is that some men may be listening right now. It's like, I'm not quite sure about that personal development. Like, dude, just jump, man, jump, do it. I need that polite kick up the ass from my partner, but man to man, definitely do it. You'll never regret it, man, because you're like literally looking at yourself. It's like personal development. You can, as men, especially back then, if I go back to this when I was like 32, especially I was a supervisor in construction, so I was developing job sites, relationships with my mates. I was always doing a lot of stuff external of me and growing that way. And then personal development is then growing on the inside. And the biggest fear is what I said earlier about the victim mindset, is that, I'm going to have to own some shit about myself. And then that is the fear that comes up. But just know that you have to have a breakthrough. You can't have a breakthrough without a breakdown. So those fears, the anxiety, your past, whatever that is, man, it still has you. It still has you. Your unconscious mind will still be running programs and beliefs of all of these things, and because you haven't learned the lesson yet. You haven't learned the lesson. And so the universe is trying to get you to learn that lesson. Once you learn that lesson, we get to level up, go to the next stage, can't recommend personal development enough. Can't recommend men's work enough either.
And I mean, once you start that personal development, you do have to go through the pain, but ultimately, in my experience, it lessens. It's the only way out of the pain. To do the work for me.
I disagree. Now I've been in personal development for 10 years, 11 years. And like, there's still stuff that comes up that is like the pain is just like it was 6 years ago, 5 years ago, because so much stuff within me has been buried so deep.
I've been doing it a lot longer than you, so I'll say from 30 years onwards.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm in heaven, so keep going.
Yeah, 100%. But the thing is now, like 10 years in, 11 years in, that uncomfortableness I'm okay with, because I don't judge pain as a negative emotion. I don't judge sadness or anger or guilt or shame. I'm not labeling them negative anymore. Doesn't take away that it doesn't hurt, or I don't feel it, but I allow myself now to feel all of that. And so within whatever I'm enduring, whatever that emotion is that's coming up, and I feel it, it fucking sucks for that moment. It fucking does immensely. Yet it's also very liberating, because I know the juxtaposition of that. How can I feel the highest high of joy, freedom, purpose, fulfillment, if I can't experience the lowest of the lows? That lowest of the lows gives me the reference point of its polar opposite. So this is tying back to all of these adversity moments in your life, and these tragedies and these challenges in your life, these bottom of the barrel experiences. They're setting you up, bro, to win so much. Because then you
appreciate the light until you know the darkness, and then you appreciate it and you stay there, and all the tools you get given along the way it's just, I mean, I love the journey. It's tough, but so worth it.
Yeah, definitely is. Definitely is.
Any final words around purpose, Blase?
The other one is
you want to say?
Yeah, so I went soul level, but then also want to mention too that as a human, as an individual, that has an ego, you also have like your human or your man's purpose. So yes, live as fullest expression. That's your soul's purpose. It's very broad. If we come down, like, I'm an individual, so are you, the man listening to this, and you are the only person that can live life like you and give your magic and your nuance. And that can come from all of the things that you've acquired along the way, all the lessons, the challenges, the life, the adversity, like how I had all of that past. But you may not have had that past, but you may be very connected to like animals, for instance, have this love and this pleasure for animals. So you become like Steve Irwin, like the wildlife warrior. He might have not have endured all this pain, but he had this passion, this love. So it's like there's the pain and pleasure, I feel, this is how we respond. And so there's like my story is a lot about pain. I'm not sure of Steve Irwin's story, but I can definitely see how much pleasure he got from animals. And I definitely know, seeing all of the videos of him as a child, he was always around that. And so there's this pleasure and fulfillment that he got from that. So don't think that you have to have this tragedy story, or this like or be the underdog to find purpose. It's like, just come back to that thing of love. Like, what is it that you love to do? Explore that. What are your superpowers? We all have superpowers. You're an individual. We're all like X-Men. We've got to find out what that is. And then, and the biggest piece of advice is that for me, all the men that I've worked with, my mentors, is that we haven't done it alone. We've literally had help and support, and continually have support that, like, I would not have been able to figure this shit out on my own. There's no way in the world. And so I know there's this stoic mask that men wear, that we've got to think that we have everything together. We've got it all figured out. Man, I know this much. There's so much. This is what I do know. That's what I don't know. There's so much that I don't know. And that bit that some other people do know is part of that. But they still don't know everything either. They don't know shit, but they do know something as well. And this is where I gravitate toward people that are like good in their craft, that have found their purpose, that are doing things that I would like to do or emulate. Like, cool, I'm going to be attracted and gravitate towards that. How can I learn from you? And so just reaching out, asking for support. And that support you don't need to be at the bottom of the barrel to ask for support or help.
Where can men go for support, especially if they're not, in a position financially?
Right here, I've got a free group called the Men's Fuel Station. It's on Facebook. It's free. I put content in there religiously. I think there's about 350 men in there at the moment. And so it's literally free. And so if you've never done any men's work, come and experience it. Be a spectator. Like, literally spectate, consume, like I did. I was consuming Preston stuff for a little bit, but then it's going to become a point that you're going to get called forward. And I'm like, oh man, okay, I've got to put that aligned, committed action. So otherwise you're sitting there with intention. Remember, manifestation equals intention plus aligned, committed action minus your reasons, excuses. So your intention is good. I want to learn. Okay, I want to be part of something. There's going to be a point in time you need to draw a line in the sand and take some aligned, committed action, which is facing off with your demons and looking into your direction and vision, where you want to be going, and your purpose. The only way you can do that is through action. You've got to have some aligned, committed action. And then when that opens up, when you're ready for that, just step in the vortex. Like, we've got a membership program, super affordable for every single man on the planet. And if you don't resonate with me, say that. I'm happy with that. But I know so many people on this planet, especially here in Australia, doing amazing things in the men's work space, that I can point you into the direction. Some men like, oh man, if your stuff's only online, I would prefer face-to-face. Pretty much know somebody in every state of Australia doing some men's work. So I can point you in a direction that you can do that. So reach out. Don't be a stranger. If you don't know what to say in a message, literally just put that emoji that's got the two hands up. Like literally just did that. I put a post up the other day, and it's like, hey, it was something about men's work or something. I'm like, if you don't know how, for the conversation, if you don't know how to start it, man, if you just you don't know, just literally do that. I had like 8 dudes just put messages of this like that. It's like, what's up, bro? How are you, man? And then we just started chatting, and then they came and joined the Men's Fuel Station. And so it's just, sometimes we don't know what to say. So don't say anything, man. Just put that emoji up, the one with the hands. Just put that up. It's like, hey, bro, I'm here. Put that up, man, and we can start a chat. Hit me on my personal messenger too. I'm a big advocate for that. Just have that touch point.
Blase, you are amazing, and your energy is just so inspiring. I just want to thank you so much for putting your energy and wisdom into this series. And I will say, I have a special place in my heart for my first very few heart warriors, because you came on as number 2, and I maybe had 10 subscribers. And I sent a few messages out, and Blase, I want to, get the message out to men. This is what's happening. I'm going to interview men. And you're like, yep, I'm in. You were my number 2, and number 1 was Lardy, who I know personally. And he's like, yep, okay. But so I just want to thank you for that. And I know now your energy is pure. Your intent to help men is your beautiful divine purpose. So I specifically wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really received that blessing.
Wow. And we'll put all Blaze's links below, so you can find him. And when I get a chance to go through anything else we mentioned, I think the YouTube Preston Smiles will drop his link in, and any others that you feel are important, Blase. Any final words before we wrap up?
I just want to say to the men that are listening, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. Like literally. Just let that land, and just sometimes we can deflect compliments. We may never meet, but just take a moment. And so many of us wish we heard that from our fathers, that we're doing a good job. We want to hear that from our bosses. We want to hear that from our partners. And sometimes we just need to hear it from a man to a man that's been in your shoes, that has struggled, that has challenged, that is just a fucking dude, that you're doing a good job. Yeah, man. And I mean that from my heart. You are. You're still here. You're still fighting. You're still doing you. And that's so fucking good. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Please
Adios.
like, share, subscribe, get the message out to our men. Our men are rising, truth, heart, and spine. And, we're doing the best that we can, but we'll do it all together. So bye, everyone. I'll be back in a few days with another episode of Man Speak. Thanks, Blase.
More than welcome.